The judge overseeing the Kyle Rittenhouse trial told prosecuting attorneys this week that they were not allowed to call the two individuals killed by Rittenhouse victims. You can't use that word victims, Judge Blake Schroeder said, or Bruce Schroeder, Bruce Schroeder, because it's a loaded word. And if you call these people victims, that might create unfair sympathy with the jury. So you can't call them victims. However, if you want to call them rioters, I'm okay with that. You want to call them looters, totally fine. And if you want to call them arsonists, that's also allowed. So it's not just that you can't call them victims, which literally by definition, they are victims. It doesn't matter if they had also been out there killing people. If you are killed by another person, that's literally part of the definition of the word victim. But Bruce Schroeder, the judge here, doesn't like the dictionary. Oh, and he wants to make it so fair, right? Fair enough that you can slander them by calling them arsonists. Because this is what really grinds my gears on this, folks. If I were to come out right now and say that Kyle Rittenhouse is an arsonist, I could be sued for slander because Kyle Rittenhouse is not an arsonist because he has never been convicted of arson. If someone has not been convicted of a crime, you cannot legally refer to them using those words. But this judge is ignoring that and allowing these two individuals to be labeled as arsonists in his courtroom. That is equally as horrifying as not being allowed to call them victims. You can slander these dead people in my courtroom, Judge Schroeder says, but you can't create sympathy for them. And the rationale for this is even dumber than you could imagine, because the rationale is that the defense lawyers might be able to prove that these people were committing crimes. Might be able to prove that these people were committing crimes. Here's the thing, those people aren't on trial because Kyle Rittenhouse ended their lives. Kyle Rittenhouse is not a law enforcement officer, and even if he was, he still wouldn't have the right to just kill them in the street. Kyle Rittenhouse was a child who crossed state lines with high-powered weaponry. And I think it should be very easy for the prosecutors to prove, based on that fact alone, that this kid left his home in Illinois to go kill. I think the intent is pretty obvious there. Now let's see if the prosecutors can prove it, right? I'm not a prosecutor in this case. I'm not even a prosecutor. But based on what we know, it shouldn't be that hard. But the judge is trying to make it hard. He's trying to make it unfairly hard. He's trying to make it unnecessarily hard. And why? If I were the lawyers, the prosecutors in this case, I would immediately move for a mistrial. I would immediately petition for a new judge, a new venue, whatever it is, because this cannot be a fair trial. There is no way this can be a fair trial at this point. Absolutely not. If you're allowed to slander the victims and not call them victims, that's not fair. You can't do that. But that is exactly what is happening in our justice system, because for some unknown reason, it really appears that Judge Bruce Schroeder is trying to protect Kyle Rittenhouse. Ring of Fire has fresh content 7 days a week, so if you want to be reminded about it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell to be notified every time a new video goes up.